Welcome back, guys. Today we're doing another vibe check here. It is the Frontier League, the second to last one we got to get through here, and it is by far the largest one, so we're going to jump headlong into this one here by throwing up these standings real quick. You can see in the Atlantic Conference and in the Midwest Conference, we have teams that are separating themselves from the pack here. We have Sussex County and New York, with down east and New Jersey in the east. In the north, we have Quebec, Tri-City, Ottawa, Brockton, and Three Rivers. Going over to the Midwest, in the central, we have Lake Erie, Washington, Florence, Evansville. And then finally in the west, you have Gateway, Schaumburg, Mississippi, Joliet, and Windy City. A lot of teams to get through. We're going to try to get you the vibe on all of them. So let's get started right away. Sussex County, man. I feel so bad being negative about because they did so well to start the year. And since then, they have just not looked good. They've struggled against down east. They've struggled against New York. They've struggled against Ottawa. They're doing well against Brockton now. But, overall, oh man, this is a team that's really not looking strong. And it feels like they're running out of gas. It feels like they're making some mistakes. It feels like things are shifting here. And it's been all month long, really, when you get down to it. It's been a really bad July. Kansas City Monarch-like, if you remember that from a few days ago when we talked about it. It's hard to really get a gauge on whether they're turning this around or not. They still can hit, but the starting pitching is starting to trail off a bit. It's not bad, but it's starting to trail. And it just feels like at those critical junctures in the game, they're not performing in the way they did at the start of the season. Now, they're going to have some opportunities coming up to really turn this around. There's a month left in the year, and they still should safely be in a playoff spot here. Although, objects in rear view are closer than they appear in the form of the Titans here. But I still feel good about them making the postseason. But to go and lead the division the whole way and then lose it in that final stretch home would be a real big blow. And it would, it hurts a lot to not have those home playoff games. That's all I'm going to say here. So Sussex is a team that they got to turn those vibes around. The complete inverse of that is New York. The Boulders are hot right now. They're beating up the teams they got to beat up. They're winning the games they got to win. They're doing everything they got to do. 6 straight wins. Hottest team really in the Frontier League. We kind of love them right now. They're doing everything they have to do, and they have some weaker opponents on the horizon down east. So let's see if they can't keep this going. They're hitting the ball well. They're getting good, not great, but good starting pitching more often than not. They've just beat up the Jackals, but I mean, come on. And overall, I'm liking their team, and they're performing in those critical junctures. Back-to-back walk-off wins against Sussex right now are the difference between only trailing them by 1 game and trailing them by 3. And that's a huge difference when we start getting to the stretch of the year. So let's take a look and see how that plays out. But they are a solid team, and it's only trailing because they played 2 fewer games. Rain is the difference right now. Put that in perspective. Looking now to down east, they're doing better than I expected from a first-year team. Yes, they're 9 games under 500. Yes, they're probably not in a playoff spot. But they've had series where they look very strong. They look solid. This is a team that's done a lot of work in the offseason to get ready for this. This is a team that I want to see do well, and I'm encouraged to see the results they've had so far. This is probably the most optimistic I'll be about a team that's 9 games under 500 as of right now. But as a whole, I do like this group. I think there's more to be done, obviously, but there is a foundation to build off of here, and I'm excited to see what comes from that. Looking at the Jackals now, man, this is just not good vibes at all. This is a team that has struggled the last few years, a team that's fallen off a lot. I don't necessarily blame Burt for this. I want to make that pretty clear and straightforward. I think the whole situation in Patterson, changing ownership, everything there is just not a good setup. And I think it's very difficult to recruit over there. I think it's an awkward setup every which way. There's a few guys Acevedo being one, Scipion being another that are performing well. But as a whole, it's not a great team, and a team that probably needs to do some self-reflection as much on the field as they do off the field. That's kind of the vibe. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Quebec now. A team that everyone I think is expecting me to just gush over here, but they haven't played good baseball as of late. Like, they're 4-6 and on a 4-game losing streak here. This has not been a great team. And even before this 4-game skid, they weren't doing great before it either. It's not like they had a huge heater coming into it. They've struggled against teams like Tri-City, like Ottawa here. Yes, they still hold a 7-game lead, and yes, they still have the best record in the division, and probably actually in the Frontier League as a whole, but they don't feel as dominant. Now, this could be like okay, we ease off the gas halfway through, so that way we can really punch it for that last 6-week burst. That could very well be it, and I wouldn't be shocked or stunned by it at all. But for a team that's 26 over 500, they're not playing like 26 over 500 right now. As a suspect vibe, I get concerned by it, and I'm hoping, beyond all hope, that this team can really turn it around and really get back to that kind of dominant stretch here. Not like they really overly need to, mind you, right? They're still doing very well, but I am concerned by that vibe. Tri-City on the flip side here, Greg Taggart got those boys playing 6 straight, 8-2. You could argue they're the hottest team and not the Boulders, but either way, New York baseball really doing well right now. And I really like this team. I think they're showing up, they're performing, they're winning games that matter. They're solidifying their hold in a playoff spot. That much is for certain. And, they need a couple more series against Quebec to go their way. Right? They need another 3-game sweep of them, realistically what they need. And if they can get that, then all of a sudden we have a debate. Now we have a discussion here. Things get interesting real quick. But overall, they're performing well. They're on a hot streak. Things have been getting better, and they've been trending in the right direction all year. Those are all signs you'll love to see. And yeah, I'm big on the Valley Cats right now. Likewise, Ottawa's been doing very well. They've been beating the teams they need to beat. They've been clawing their way back into it. They started off, middle of June, really in the dumps, not looking like a good team at all. And now they fought back to 500. It's still a long stretch for them to make the postseason in my eyes, right? They're at 33-33 today. The Miners are probably one of your weaker teams that you're going to be looking at 38-28, 36-28 being the current last wildcard spot here. So, there's work to be done on that front. What are we looking at there? 5.5 games. So certainly not an easy climb, but they are trending in the right direction. You have some teams in front of you trending in the wrong direction. Maybe things line up pretty good. Who's to say? We go to Brockton now, where the vibes aren't really great. There are some guys that are doing well. No doubt about that. You've heard me say that a lot over this series. But off the field, still a problem. Still not drawing well. You have grass growing on the dirt. That's not a good look. But things just don't seem to be sorting themselves out in a productive way, in a positive way. And that definitely gets me a bit concerned, and it gets me into a state where I wonder what the future is for Brockton as an organization, as a franchise, as much as I wonder what they're going to do on the field. 2 years now, they haven't done all that much. They do look all right. They're, a game worse than what Down East is doing, but it just feels like Down East is a better ran team every which way. So, disappointing to see there. And Brockton gets more disappointing when you realize that they were coming on hot at the beginning of the month. At the beginning of July, they were starting to make a move, and then it kind of died. And now you look at Three Rivers, a team that has not been good all year, and they are still not very good, but they're only, a game and a half back of Brockton? That's a tough scene. And on the note of Three Rivers, we're not going to spend much time on it because, again, they are just not a particularly strong team. And so as a result, I'm not looking to bury them all that much, but the vibes aren't good. They're 14 games under. They're the best last place team, but that's as much due to being on a 3-game heater as it is anything else. And it kind of feels like we're running out the clock over there. Hopefully they can get out of the basement and do something, maybe make it a little interesting, but when you play 96 games and you already got 40 losses, it looks like you're going to need a minimum of 50, 52 wins to get to the postseason. Things aren't trending in the direction you need them to. So it does feel like that clock's run out there. Shifting to the Midwest, Crusher vibes are pretty solid right now. They're on a bit of a heater, 4-game winning streak, 8-2. They look solid. They're getting some offense, not much, but they're getting enough to get by. The pitching's still good. I mean, we know what the deal is over there with Jared Lemieux and Lake Erie. We know what they prioritize and what they do well, and all that's doing very well so far. It doesn't feel like they should be the division leader. They're in a division with Washington, which, you would think, but no, things are going surprisingly well. Honestly, surprised to be sure, but a happy one for the Crushers there. That's the vibe over there. And with Washington, who's up next here, that vibe's also pretty solid. Surprisingly, they come off a big win against the Yawls. They've, they're doing what they got to do, and they're a game and a half back. That's a little disappointing here, but I still feel like they're tied in wins. They're going to get it around. They're a victim of playing 3 more games. And while we've seen that fight teams in the ass before, we saw it last year in the Frontier, they'll be fine. They're going to make the postseason. They're going to do well there. I am not really concerned with Washington. They're just a very streaky team, and they got to learn to win on the road. That's really what the concern is with them. So they'll turn it around. Vibes are still fine there. Y'all's on the flip side. Vibes are always strong there because Chad Rhodes is a vibe king. But as far as on the field, I mean, let's be real here. They're basically Brockton. Same record as Down East. They're not a good baseball club, but they're a fun one. So that's the vibe they're cultivating. Good for them. Happy for them. And Evansville, yeah. Less said the better. 24-41. They're really challenging those Jackals and Thunderbolts for worst record in the league, aren't they? Not a particularly strong team in any aspect here. When they win, it's kind of surprising. It's not been a good showing from them in any which way. Again, I'm not looking to bury bad teams here. Vibes aren't strong. Andy McCauley will turn it around. Hopefully they are now through their rebuilding period, and next year they can start to turn it around. That's all we're going to hope with them. Midwest Conference, the best conference in arguably indie ball right now, but certainly in the Frontier League. 42-22, 43-23. We have 2 teams tied atop the way. Gateway really rebounded from kind of a sluggish start, to be honest with you. And I had a lot of doubts about them. Those doubts are gone now. This is a team that can hit. They pitch well enough. That's what matters. They get the job done. Vibes are high. Winning percentage is also high. Schaumburg's been a team that's just been steady all year, though. This is a team that nice, even keel. They get the job done. They hit really well. They pitch well. They do everything well. And they're the 1 and the 2 in this league, in my eyes. Quebec's drop-off as of recent has made me look at them that way. It's a shame one of these teams is going to get tossed into a wild card and not have to host, but I feel like Schaumburg Gateway is just what we're going to be looking at when everything's said and done for who's going to be going for the right to play Quebec. Because, again, let's be real. Quebec's still Quebec. But, yeah, in all seriousness, though, these are 2 really good teams here. They're both very solid over their last 10 as well. The vibes are strong going into August, and I expect a very strong, solid finish from them. Mississippi, again, another case of really good first year for them. Nearly 500. They were in a playoff spot for a hot minute as well. Frankly, if Lake Erie falls off a bit, if Washington falls off a bit, and, the Mud Monsters get hot, they're still not out of this. It's doubtful, but they're not out of it yet. And I'd love to see a first-year team make the postseason. At the very least, it's a really solid building block year. I think they're doing a lot of really good stuff here. And overall, I think the vibes are about as high as you can expect from a first-year team. Jay Pesci doing a great job behind the dugout there. And overall, really vibing with this team. They're a solid team that got great vibes. Looking at Joliet, man, they're disappointing. The vibes have definitely been down as of late. They started off the year strong and they've kind of been shaky, and then now the wheels have fallen off. They're 7 under 500. It feels like this franchise is cursed. No matter who's at the helm, they don't seem to really hold on to success. Mike Pinto's the guy that realistically should have been the guy to turn this thing around. And there's moments where you see him doing it. And he has his guys, and his guys are all involved, and they're all doing what they need to do. And like everything should be working, but it's not working. And it's aggravating because, again, they should be better than they are. But a 6-game losing skid has essentially taken them out of this fight. And going into August, the vibes are low. And I'm hoping they can get back to 500 before the end of the year. That's really what my goal is for them. Get to 500 by the end of the year. Let's start to make some progress, and let's try to turn this around in year 3. Now off to that final team is the Windy City Thunderbolts, a team that I'm not going to bury. They've had a very tough year as an organization. And Toby Hall's had a very difficult situation to work with. They still aren't a very good team on the field. Out the field obviously has an effect there. I'm just hoping for everyone's sake their 26 is better. It's a hard situation every which way, and probably one of the most difficult situations that we've had to look at so far. So vibes are not good, but that's just because there's been a black cloud over that organization all year. And hopefully that cloud passes. That's the vibe check for the Frontier League. We have the Pioneer League left to get to. We're going to try to do everything we can to get to it. And until next time, don't forget to play ball.